All right, welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a practice from some of the earliest Buddhist teachings, one that promises something, well, extraordinary. It's all about something you're doing right now, this very second, breathing. But what if I told you that focusing on your breath in a really specific way wasn't just about calming down? What if it was the key to unlocking a complete path to freedom? Let's explore this ancient road to liberation, one that's powered entirely by the breath. So let me just start by asking this. What if there was a single, focused practice that could bring about the greatest possible benefit in your life? I know, it sounds almost too good to be true, right? But that is the incredible claim made in the ancient texts we're gonna unpack today. Okay, let's go straight to the source. This is the very first line from a collection of the Buddha's discourses. And he kicks it off with this incredibly bold statement. One thing, when developed and cultivated, is of great fruit and benefit. I mean, when a text starts with a claim that direct and that powerful, you just have to lean in and pay attention. So what on earth is this mysterious one thing? And here it is, Ānāpānasaṃyutta. This literally translates to mindfulness of breathing. You've got Ana, the in-breath, Apana, the out-breath, and Sati, which means mindfulness. So it's about keeping the breath in mind. But, and this is a huge but, as you're about to see, this goes so far beyond just passively watching yourself breathe, it's actually a complete, dynamic training for the mind. So how does it actually work? Well, the original text lays out this super clear step-by-step curriculum with 16 instructions. And what's really brilliant is how these steps are organized into 4 groups, and each one corresponds to one of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So think of it less like simple breathing and more like a complete workout for your mind. The whole thing starts with the most tangible thing we have, our body. The very first steps are all about grounding your awareness right here, right now. You just start by noticing, is this breath long or is it short? Simple. Then you widen your focus to feel the breath in your entire body. And finally, you train in calming the breath, which, you guessed it, naturally calms the body. It's just this beautiful, organic process of tuning in and settling down. Okay, so once the body is calm, your focus just naturally starts to shift. The next 4 steps take us into the realm of feelings, or what's called Vedana. See, as the mind settles down, these really pleasant states like rapture and pleasure can start to pop up. And the training is to experience them without getting totally carried away, to understand them as just mental formations, and then to calm those very formations, which brings this incredible subtlety to your awareness. From feelings, we move on to the mind itself, the citta. And this is where the practice gets really active. You're not just a passive observer anymore, you're actively cultivating. You train to experience whatever state your mind is in, to actively gladden it if it's feeling down, to steady it when it's all over the place, and then, ultimately, to release it from all its subtle little attachments. This is where you really start to take the reins of your own inner world. And that brings us to the final 4 steps, which are really the peak of the whole practice. Here, the focus zooms out to the nature of all experience, or Dhamma. With a calm body and a steady, happy mind, you just start to see, really see, the impermanence of everything. You watch things fade and cease, and you train in letting it all go. It's just this incredible, mind-blowing progression, right? You start with this simple feeling of air moving in and out, and you end up with this profound insight into how reality itself works. Okay, but wait, it gets even better. Because the power of this practice doesn't just stop with those 16 steps, not even close. The texts go on to describe how mastering Ānāpānasaṃyutta sets off this complete chain reaction, basically fulfilling the entire path to enlightenment. This isn't just one cool practice among many, it's the gateway. You could see the whole system laid out right here. The texts explain how Ānāpānasaṃyutta, when you really develop it, naturally leads to completing the 4 foundations of mindfulness we just talked about. Then, those foundations cultivate the 7 factors of enlightenment. And once those factors are perfected, they result in true knowledge and liberation. It's this beautiful, seamless path where one thing just flows perfectly into the next. So, the takeaway here is just incredible. Mindfulness of breathing isn't some preliminary step you do before the real meditation starts. No. According to these texts, it is the path. It's the seed that contains the entire tree of awakening. Everything else just grows naturally from this one single point of focus. Now, the texts don't just give us theory. They're full of stories that show this practice in action. And these stories really illustrate its unique character and its profound effects. Let's get into some of them. One of the most striking stories happens in a place called Vesali. The Buddha had taught a group of monks to meditate on the unpleasant parts of the body to help them curb attachment. But here's the thing, it's totally backfired. The monks became so disgusted with their own bodies that they got seriously depressed. So, seeing their distress, the Buddha offered them something different, Ānāpānasaṃyutta, which he called a peaceful, sublime, and a pleasant dwelling. It was exactly what they needed to find their balance again. And to describe it, the text uses this beautiful simile. It says the practice is like a sudden, heavy rainstorm that instantly settles all the swirling dust and dirt. In the exact same way, mindfulness of breathing calms and purifies the mind, just washing away all that agitation. I mean, how perfect is that? It's presented as this gentle, cleansing, clarifying force. The texts also really highlight the deep, deep tranquility this practice can bring. There's this great account of a monk named Mahakapina who was just sitting there in meditation. The Buddha points to him and asks the other monks, "Hey, do you guys see any shaking, any trembling at all in his body?" And they're like, "Nope, nothing." The Buddha then explains that the kind of concentration you get through Ānāpānasaṃyutta leads to this state of profound stillness in both your body and your mind. So what's the big deal? What is the ultimate potential of this practice? Why was it held in such high regard? Well, the answer seems to be its unique ability to ground us completely in the present moment and the incredible heights that can lead to. I mean, if you need one single reason to take this practice seriously, this is probably it. In one of the suttas, the Buddha himself says that even after he was fully enlightened, he still often dwelled in the concentration of mindfulness of breathing. He wasn't just teaching it to beginners. He was using it himself for his own pleasant dwelling in the here and now. And just look at the titles they gave this practice. The texts say if you wanted to point to a noble dwelling, a divine dwelling, or even the dwelling of an enlightened one, you would literally point to mindfulness of breathing. This just hammers home that this isn't some simple little technique. We're talking about a complete state of being. It shows that the simplest thing, our own breath, is the gateway to the most sublime states imaginable. And that brings it all right back home, doesn't it? This entire profound path of liberation, from just calming your body all the way to seeing the very nature of reality, it's all accessible right here in this very moment through the simple rhythm of your own breathing. The whole journey is encoded in it, which really just leaves us with one final question. What could you discover in your own breath?